24 hours ago, I said this. We are just one night in, and arguably, we are 50% of the way there to what I feel, in my honest opinion, could be one of the greatest WrestleManias ever. 24 hours later, it looks like it stayed at that 50%, as this did not go down as one of the all-time great WrestleManias. Hey everybody, SonGoshuaku here, and welcome to my review of WWE WrestleMania 37 Night 2. Alright, let's start things off with the first match, The Fiend Bray Wyatt with Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. Now, I was really hyped. After night one, very hyped coming into this show, hoping that it's going to be a good one. And things did start off really well. The Fiend had this really awesome entrance where his body basically sort of kind of disintegrated and reformed. Just the effect was cool. And he basically was born anew. He regenerated himself, had a new mask, and came out of this Jack-in-Box that Alexa Bliss had came out to. And she had got a big pop and everything, Randy Orton as well, so you're ready. I'm thinking they're starting off. You can tell, obviously, if you can see right here with the shirt, basically how much I've been excited in terms of what they've done with the build-up. So the match was pretty much just Bray Wyatt being all over Randy Orton. They brought back the red light for some reason. Now, having seen it before at the Survivor Series 2019, I will say it doesn't look that bad in person, but I didn't see the reason for bringing it back other than maybe because there's only 25,000 fans in attendance of an 80,000 seat stadium. They wanted to use this as a way to mask the background off. As you notice, the lights were a lot more darker. But yeah, the match was going all over the place in terms of being all for Bray Wyatt, who ended up putting in the mandible claw multiple times to Randy. So Randy was just having this big struggle trying to get one up over the Fiend. But in the end, I think the Fiend was about to hit Sister Abigail, or he did, and he was about to win the match. And then Alexa Bliss, who was clearly basically getting dressed in the Jack-in-the-Box, did her transformation, because obviously since they're not taped, they can't do the hocus pocus stuff. And what happens here is Alexa Bliss ends up having the black goo just ooze down from her head, and this distracts the Fiend. I'm thinking it was something to distract Randy Orton, but Randy Orton capitalizes with the RKO 1, 2, 3 and defeats the Fiend Bray Wyatt, thanks to the distraction of Alexa Bliss, who clearly has turned on the Fiend. It just feels like this was a waste of time. All these months of build-up, all the cool visual effects, all the cool practical effects, all the cool horror theme-esque stuff that they were doing. Alexa Bliss, who I thought did a great job of carrying this entire feud, all of it amounted to nothing but for Randy Orton to get another victory over Bray Wyatt. I mean, outside of the House of Horrors match, you remember that one, Randy Orton has pretty much owned Bray Wyatt every match they've had. I was there in Orlando for that match they had at WrestleMania, just hoping to see Bray get the win, and he still didn't get the win even all these years later. So at this point, you know, I try to be as positive as I possibly could with this, but at this point, it's like the Fiend is dead. You take all this time and build his big return up just to lose again. Like, they just don't get it with Bray Wyatt. They keep having him lose over and over and over. He comes back as something strong and keeps losing over and over, and just the same thing like Goldberg last year. Alexa Bliss ends up looking at Bray Wyatt, and Bray basically, the lights go out and the lights come back on, Bray's gone. Like, he runs away, he just vanishes. It just feels like this was a whole big waste of time, and I was really enjoying the match, thinking that Bray was going to get the finish. Why couldn't they wait for Alexa Bliss to turn on Bray for a segment instead of defeating Bray here? Let Bray get the victory, and then maybe on the Thunderdome the next night, have Alexa Bliss turn on Bray Wyatt. So we'll see where this goes in terms of Alexa Bliss. The next match was for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending the titles against Tamina and Natalya. Well, like I said, if you're going to put both Tamina and Natalya in this match, go ahead and give them a bone. And surprisingly, I was very happy to see that the fans were definitely actually behind Tamina, so that had to be great for her with how long she's been in this company. And the match had a little nice story of Tamina and Nia Jax trying to overpower each other, whereas Shayna and Natalya were basically trying to out-wrestle each other with different submission holds. So that was pretty cool, but I gotta be honest, after that first match, the energy for me was down. It kind of sounded like the crowd was down too. But the big thing about this match is Nia and Shayna win, and I was hoping that they were gonna have Nia and Shayna drop the titles here so that they can split and have Shayna be on her own. And this is the problem when you do these matches like this with Tamina and Natalya. You have so many fans out there that, you know, don't like it basically because they always are losing. And unless you give these women significant wins over and over, it's like you can't never build any momentum with both of them. And I was like, why not? If you're gonna have them go over all those tag teams the previous night, and you're gonna, especially when you have like Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, who are both tag teams, who are actually an actual tag team and not makeshift teams like they've done with so many of these other women, if you're gonna have them go over there, then justify it. Put the titles on Natalya and Tamina, and then have them go on a dominant reign, and they'll be taken so much more serious. But in the story, it's really hard when they're constantly losing, and it's a shame to see both of them like that. So once again, this match didn't do too much for me, unfortunately. Next match, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. So these two have done battles so many times on the independent scene, ROH, NXT, and WWE's main roster, but they are now on the big stage of WrestleMania. The match was pretty decent. I believe we've all seen much better matches involving these two against each other. However, the big thing with this was Logan Paul was there, and after some nice, pretty good back and forth action, Kevin Owens ends up defeating Sami Zayn. But the real story is, at the end of the match, basically, Logan Paul ends up getting into with Sami Zayn, and he pushes him down, and Sami ends up going, and now Logan is all celebrating with Kevin Owens. Now, I don't follow Logan Paul at all in terms of his content, but from what I've heard, it seems like a lot of people do not like him, basically, and so you could tell that with the crowd wanting to see the stunner. And well, Kevin Owens did not disappoint. He delivered a stone cold, very worthy stunner to Logan Paul, who, I gotta give it up to him, the man sold it. It looked devastating. It was, wow, you didn't know if you were gonna get like what you got with Donald Trump all those years ago when he arguably took the worst stunner of all time. Here, this was one of the most brutal looking stunners of all time. So a nice WrestleMania moment for Kevin Owens, but unfortunately we still don't get to see him jump off the ship like he wanted to. Next match was the United States Championship match. Matt Riddle defending the title against Sheamus. Now, this is a match we've seen probably plenty of times on Monday Night Raw, or if you're like me with Monday Night Raw, I just listen to it in the background, so it's one that I've heard many of times. That being said, we did get a segment where you knew they were going to have Rob Van Dam and Matt Riddle, and he had the Great Khali in there in a segment. But as far as this match, it was hard-hitting, pretty much what you've seen on Monday Night Raw all the time. There was a really disappointing part in the spot where I think was the move called White Noise. I forget if that's what it is. The move where Sheamus has them like basically hanging back, and he drops to his back, and they land on their back. They were going to do it from the top rope, but it didn't work out. I don't think he was positioned right. But the best part of this match definitely was the finish. So Matt Riddle does a moonsault off the second rope, and in midair, Sheamus kicks the crap out of him with the bro kick, lands a clean precision shot right on Matt Riddle's lips and busted him open, probably looks like the hard way, and pinned him 1, 2, 3. And Sheamus is now the United States champion again, though I really know that it is the Intercontinental Championship that Sheamus wants to have, because he is one of the most decorated champions in history. He's won everything but the Intercontinental title, so we'll see where they end up going with Sheamus. But yeah, that was a very worthy WrestleMania spot that we're going to remember, which is unfortunately what I felt like a lot of these matches here on night 2 lack. They lack those big moments that the first night had. had with practically all the matches. The next match was a Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental Championship. Big E defending the Intercontinental title against Apollo Crews. Yeah, I was digging when they turned Apollo heel and he took on this new gimmick, but then the accent happened and it seemed more like 1980s WWF. But hey, I was willing to give this all a chance. I was interested to see what in the world would this Nigerian drum fight look like. So I'm thinking they're gonna go all out and decorate it, you know, with some really nice touches of Nigerian culture. All they did in this match was just take a bunch of drums and stack them on some tables and throw in some candlesticks, and there's our Nigerian drum fight. You know, I was wondering, would they go ahead and get Ruth E. Carter, who, if you're not familiar with her, she did the designs or costume designs basically for Black Panther and Coming to America 2, the sequel, and you know, or something like that. I thought, would they bring her in to really make this match look like something that was really gonna be of Nigerian culture? But it's like, it just kind of felt lazy. Like, let's take some drums, put them on the tables, and that's it. This match basically was them using a lot of candlesticks, and let's be honest, we've seen far better street fights in WWE than this one. I did enjoy the fire that we got from Big E, who did get a live entrance from Wale. However, the right person went over in this match, and that is Apollo Crews. But the way they went about it, he was pretty much all but beaten by Big E, but it was thanks to the interference of Dabba-Kato, who you might remember from the Raw Underground last year, who has aligned himself with Apollo Crews. He took out Big E and Apollo got the win that way, and so Apollo finally the Intercontinental Championship, but they couldn't have done it in the most incredible way possible. So we'll see where this goes from here. But I will say it was great to see Big E get a proper huge pop from the crowd basically being there. So it tells you that what WWE did with building him up as a singles is definitely working in terms of him being over as a babyface standalone act. The next match for the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. At this point in the show, I'm basically not feeling this like I was the first night. It's like this whole show at this point had been either decent, okay, but let's be honest, you expect greatness. So I was like, man, did Sasha and Bianca ever so greatly set the bar high for these ladies tonight? So we did get Ash Costello of New Year's Day to perform Rhea Ripley's song to the ring. So that was a cool entrance. It was cool seeing Asuka come out in like a Jason inspired mask. And these ladies, they went at it. Definitely Asuka constantly doing all the type of submissions she could to lock down the powerful Rhea Ripley, Rhea using her power. So both women definitely went at it. Unfortunately, yeah, it did not match the standard set by Bianca and Sasha the previous night. Both ladies did work hard in this match, but it didn't reach a certain high threshold that I was hoping it would. That being said, like I said, the work was still good in there, and in the end, out of nowhere it seemed, Rhea Ripley ended up hitting the Riptide on Auska and pinned her 1, 2, 3, and it's like, wow, maybe there wasn't just maybe enough near falls or quick points in this match where it made you think like, oh, she got her, no, oh, you know, which is what, you know, there were so many points where you didn't know who had who in the last match. But yeah, like I said, it went to the right decision here. Rhea Ripley going over Auska, and this is how it's done. It was crazy to think that they were gonna probably most likely have Lacey Evans, then she got pregnant, then Charlotte, who unfortunately did get COVID, and for whatever reason they left her off the show. They were gonna basically have Asuka lose the title one of those ways, but this is how you do it. You bring in someone new and fresh that's over with the fans, and you have her go over using Asuka, an established name, to put over Rhea Ripley clean here at WrestleMania. That's how you build a star, and I feel what we got here was sort of the John Cena and Batista moments of WrestleMania 21, but in the form this generation for Rhea Ripley and Bianca Bianca Belair, who right now look like they are poised to be the women who are going to help carry the women's division into the future, basically, now coming in after the four horsewomen, with Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, and Bayley, with what they have already paved the way for. So good stuff here, definitely the right outcome, and hopefully these two will have better matches coming up in the near future. So I mentioned previously, I did really enjoy Bayley's interactions with Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil throughout both nights of WrestleMania. There was a huge rumor that we might get a big return to come out and beat up Bayley, and that return was the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins basically beat up Bayley and then rolled her down the ramp. Honestly, when you think about it, this is why they didn't put Bayley on the show. They couldn't give a big featured match to Bayley because they needed this of all things. It's very reminiscent to me of WrestleMania 35 when everyone wanted to see John Cena take on Kurt Angle in his final match to create a wonderful story of coming full circle. But instead, they had Cena come out as a doctor of thugonomics, which was entertaining against Elias. But it's like, really, that over a match with Kurt Angle? And I say this, really, the Bella Twins beating up Bayley over Bayley having a big featured match after the amazing year she had last year, carrying the women's division along with Sasha and Auska during this pandemic that we're still in. I wasn't a fan of this, but once again, there was never any confirmation of Becky. So for those of you who got your hopes up that Becky Lynch would be involved, well, it is what it is, but I'm guessing we're going to see Becky Lynch back sooner than later. Also, I did enjoy both segments where they brought out the Hall of Famers both on night 1 and night 2, so that was cool as well. And now we get to the main event for the WWE Universal Championship, a triple threat match. Edge versus Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Well, this easily was the match of the night. The main event definitely delivered on night 2. These three, just as you expect, definitely went at it. The crowd reaction was one of the things that I was looking forward to the most, and as you expect, Daniel Bryan got the huge ovation with the yes chant. It was great to hear the organic yes chants from the actual real crowd. Edge came out to a massive pop, and I said even in the no DQ review, shout out to them, that it would be expected, because you got to think about, between Edge's whole year that he's come back, the only 2 times he was in an arena with audiences other than this one was the Royal Rumble comeback, and I think the night after Monday Night Raw where Randy took him out and he had to sell the injury, and when he came back, pandemic hit, everything shut down, and so it took all the way to here at WrestleMania 37 for Edge to actually once again get back in front of a live audience. So you knew the people were craving to see Edge after all these years. They barely got any time to see him in person. So that being said, Roman came out to what I thought was interesting, a mixed reaction. You heard some fans cheering and a lot of fans booing. Now, we're no strangers to seeing Roman Reigns get booed, but this time it was fairly organic. It just felt great. Even in this match, Roman is playing to the crowd. It was just so great to see that Roman getting booed this time. He's actually taking time to trash talk and stall and, make the crowd just hate him even more. Like, it just felt so organic, and that's what it was really awesome. But yeah, this match started off really hard hitting with Daniel Bryan just getting blasted by Roman Reigns, and there were just a lot of really cool, great spots in this. One of my favorites was when Roman Reigns was on the steel steps and he power bombs Daniel Bryan through the announce table, and then Edge comes out of frame out of nowhere and spears Roman off of the steel cage. I will give shout out to the production team in this one. A lot of people like to give flack for Kevin Dunn constantly missing shots nowadays, but what he did here is he actually kept the shots on the action, so that way when Daniel or Edge would come out of nowhere, they literally just jump into the frame and attack their opponent. So I really love the way this match was shot from that perspective. You had even great moments where Edge would have the crossface locked in on Roman, and Daniel would have the yes lock on Roman, and they would tease several times throughout the match, is Roman gonna tap, is he? And at one point they both have their submissions, so it was like, what do they do? And then they both end up headbutting each other, trying to get one off the other, so that way Roman doesn't tap out and makes this like a tie or something. And this was great. It was like watching two animals basically fight over their prey, over the prey or the kill in the wilderness and stuff like that. That was really good. Once again, a lot of hard-hitting spears. At one point, Edge and Roman Reigns speared each other, so that was just really great. Jey Uso was also taken out of the match early by an execution on the steel steps by Edge. So it's just really great stuff, great back and forth action, and in the end, Edge just ended up going crazy. It reminded me of what was that, when the Raw announced GM, which was eventually revealed to be Hornswoggle. I remember he went up there and he was like doing the robot voice, like, "You've got the crazy eyes, Edge." And Edge definitely had the crazy eyes. He was just well in chairs, like WrestleMania 17 Stone Cold Steve Austin style, on both Roman and Daniel Bryan. And at one point, he ends up hitting the concerto on Daniel Bryan. And you know the history with his concussions there, so they're playing that up. And this basically took Daniel Bryan out of the match for the rest of the night. And as Edge was trying to finish off Roman, Jey Uso eventually ends up coming in fully recovered. So you know that motivation he's getting from his tribal chief cousin is certainly working. And from there, Jey Uso's interference allows Roman to now get the upper hand with the steel chair, and he ends up doing the concerto to Edge after a devastating spear, and he drags Edge unconscious body, puts it over Daniel Bryan's unconscious body, and just as I predicted to my friends in our virtual chat meetup for this WrestleMania watch party, I told him Roman is gonna pin both of them. And 1, 2, 3, he sure did. Pin both of them like that. The Tribal Chief still reigns as your WWE Universal Championship. The fans are booing and Roman Reigns is talking trash to him, and there's big pyro going off. Roman gets probably his big WrestleMania moment that he would have gotten last year from defeating Goldberg, and he ends up, this being like his 5th or 6th WrestleMania main event. This was really well done. I do hope that they finally eventually start giving Roman Reigns some clean wins, so that he can be more credible instead of constantly having Jey Uso win all his matches for him. And I hope they go ahead and once again add something to Roman to keep this Tribal Chief storyline going, at least for up until you hit a year or so. And that's like what I was saying. You can take someone like Cesaro and maybe build him up to take on Roman Reigns later on. And I wanted Roman to win because I looked at it, I'm like, it's the best thing in terms of the future for the company. Don't get me wrong, I understand they got all their money from Peacock, they got $1 billion, they can do whatever, right? But in terms of Roman Reigns, like, I'm looking at our options here. It's like Daniel Bryan, he's had his big moment as the champion. I look at Edge, and he's already established. Just like I said in my Royal Rumble review, he's already established, so there's no need to really give him another championship win, at least not right now. Roman Reigns is on the best run of his career currently as this champion, as the Tribal Chief gimmick. Add some more people, maybe if they can finally get Jimmy Uso back there with Jey Uso, add a Mitt Carter, add a female talent, build this whole basically Samoan dynasty that they're having, and just have Roman Reigns run the entire SmackDown land until you have someone like Cesaro or someone just who's new and fresh is built up to defeat him. But let's keep this reign going. But that being said, all three men definitely delivered, and from a real life standpoint, man, these three guys, they overcame leukemia, a bad neck, and a concussion to get here. 3 really devastating career enders right there, and all 3 of these men found their way back here in the main event. Truly an inspiration for what these 3 men were able to get here and do tonight. Awesome main event. Overall, I still think the match of the entire WrestleMania show in weekend was Bianca and Sasha Banks. But overall, like I said, night 1 was awesome. And then night 2 just went like... The matches, they weren't necessarily bad. They were just okay, all right, but you expect great, not okay, on WrestleMania. And the only thing that really stood out to me as like truly great was this main event. And then also add on the side the decent matches you got with Auska and Rhea and KO and Sami and stuff like that. And I don't even know what the heck that booking decision was in the first couple of matches. If you enjoyed this this content, make sure to support me by liking, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that way you are notified as soon as my content is released. And also, if you want to support the channel, shop via my Amazon affiliate links in the description and pinned comment below. There you can shop on Amazon. Basically, doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does allow me to get a commission. I've got links to all my podcast gear if you want to go ahead and buy one of those. Also, if you're looking to maybe go ahead and start your own YouTube or want to get more views on your YouTube, check out my Tubebuddy affiliate link also at the description and pinned comment below. There you can go ahead and sign up for the free Tubebuddy trial, as it will help you greatly with your tags, description, and SEO, which are all very important tools you'll need to use here if you want to grow on YouTube. Once again, doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does allow me to get a commission, which will once again help support the content on the channel. That being said, I'll see you all next time. Take care.